Hey guys, Sebastian here again. It's time to brew something smooth and calming. And I'm talking about tea today. This is part of my top 10 autumn notes deep dive video that I did about 3 months ago. And I've decided to take each of the notes in the top 10 autumn notes of deep dive video and break them down into individual videos. So you can watch them separately in case you don't want to sit around and watch 2+ hours of a video. I find tea fragrances to be perfect for autumn season, as I said. It's not your typical autumn season note, but the way the fragrances come off when they're, tea focused gives you that very calming, soothing vibe. And I just enjoy these kind of fragrances in the autumn. It's just the kind of notes I like to wear. So sit back and enjoy 5 tea-focused fragrances. Who's a fan of tea, and do you consider it a great scent note or fragrance note for autumn? Once again, we're going back to the coziness of fragrances, and I find cozy fragrances to be super awesome in the autumn months, and I consider tea to be one of the coziest notes ever out there. Let me know if you consider this as well. Do you like to wear, tea fragrances you can wear all year round. There's a lot of fresh tea fragrances out there. So in this list, it's just a nice variety of tea fragrances. They don't necessarily have to be fresh or light or dense or intense or gourmand. I just find that tea fragrances tend to go quite cozy. So we're going to start off first with Nishane's Wulong Cha, kind of a green take on tea. Also very, very fresh. This is not a tea gourmand, by the way. It's sparkling, it's effervescent, it's green, super cozy. It's smooth. I find tea to be, consuming tea, I should say. I love consuming tea in the autumn. The warmth of the tea kind of soothes me. I like that about it. There's also a little milk in there, a little sweetness like agave or honey. I do go with something like a really awesome Earl Grey from the Mariage brand of teas. Earl Grey teas are some of my favorites, but the entire brand of Mariage teas are all very perfumed teas. Hey, I've got to try and consume perfume as well. So if you like perfume and you like tea, definitely check out Mariage Frere tea. They make some of the most amazing perfumes and teas. So they're very perfumed and very fragrant teas. And I highly recommend that brand as a great brand for teas. If you're local here in San Fran, you can go to ZGO Perfumery. They have an amazing collection of Mariage Frere teas. Again, my favorite brand of teas. I love them, but the Nishane is a super fresh, really, really fresh. It's also very citrusy, very, very citrusy. It eventually has musky notes in the dry down, but along the way you have some citruses, but you've got some light floral notes in there, but super juicy and fresh and clean and super cozy as well. Really, really love that. It's grown on me quite a bit. It wasn't one of my all-time favorites from early on with the brand. I guess maybe they were highlighting some other fragrances, but this was a bit of a sleeper early on, but then everybody was talking about it. I enjoy it quite a bit. And Oolong Cha, definitely one of the best from the house of Nishane and a perfect tea fragrance. Next, we're going to the house of obvious Parfums. It's Unete. You guys familiar with this house? And Unete. This fragrance is matcha. There's Maté, so it's a combination of 2 kinds of teas, matcha and Maté, so both leaning green. There's a bit of zing in here and some vanilla. This one actually kind of goes slightly into the gourmand territory, so it gets creamy and vanillic. But once again, there's a lot of tea in here, not only the matcha, you've got the Maté in here as well, so it's slightly green and creamy, not fresh whatsoever. So night and day difference between the Wulong Cha and the Unete. The Unete also, because it has that vanilla, acts a bit like you're putting cream in your milk. You're swirling it, it's getting a bit thicker. Because there's a thickness about this fragrance because of the thicker notes, the vanillic notes. There's tonka here. But in the end, it's not as liquidy as the Wulong Cha. It's more thicker because you've thickened it with like some kind of a thick milky cream, which I do enjoy putting in tea once in a while. So this one does get sweeter for sure. Sweeter, more gourmand, but still behind all that kind of sweetness and gourmand touches, it's tea to the max. And you've got a lot of Maté and you've got a lot of matcha tea in here. The two together, it's a tea explosion, right? Yeah, let me know if you're a fan of Unete from the house of Obvious Parfums. Obvious Parfums do seem to be a bit simplistic, and also they are very layerable fragrances. At least some of their earlier fragrances like the Un Musk and the Un Bois, the Rose and the Orange Blossom, the Pepper even. This one seems a bit more complex than usual. So some of their earlier fragrances like the Orange Blossom and the Vanilla, you can layer that together to create something a bit like Love Don't Be Shy combo. So they lend themselves to layering quite a bit. This one actually, you can probably spice it up a little bit with pepper. I'm thinking of notes you can add to it. The pepper I think will be perfect. Maybe a little musk in there. Maybe patchouli as well. So there's some things you could do with those fragrances. If you haven't thought about it, please try those. Next, we're going to the house of Voyages Imaginaires. Once again, it's Tea and Rock and Roll. This is the second fragrance from the house I'm highlighting today. This one is such dark juice. I like the name Tea and Rock and Roll. What do you guys think? So this one is going back to more of that kind of fresh tea experience. There is a bit of smokiness in this. And I would say this is somewhere in between Wulong Cha and Un Été. So it's kind of somewhere in between. So it's a bit fresher than Un Été, but it's a bit more intense, slightly gourmandesque in comparison to Wulong Cha. But this one, the tea is so super strong. I think some of those other notes that were in Un Été, like the creamy vanillic and slightly gourmandesque notes, were taking over the tea. This one, the tea is super highlighted. Really, really in-your-face tea. It's got a bit of spice. It's got a bit of kick. I think it's smoky. It's really, really great smelling. Super cozy. And the thing with this brand, as I said earlier, they're 100% natural. I actually have a video on the channel shot with Isabelle Doyen and Camille Goutal, daughter of Annick Goutal, talking about this brand. So if you're curious to learn more about that brand, please head over and catch that video. But this tea and rock and roll is super yummy. Really, really awesome. It's not super fresh, but it's also not super intense, like warm and gourmand. It's kind of like somewhere in between, as I was saying, in between Wulong Cha and Un Été. But the next fragrance, it's Escentric Molecules, Molecule 1 plus Black Tea. Have you guys tried this one? Absolutely, I'm a big fan of Escentric Molecule fragrances, really love them. I'm so glad that they have flankers that they've done for the Molecule 1 series. Molecule 1 plus Patchouli, Molecule 1 plus Mandarin, Molecule 1 plus Iris, and then the second series was the Ginger, the Black Tea, and then also Gaiac. All of them are so awesome. It depends on if you want if you want ISO E Super plus a different note, because you're basically working with two ingredients. The Molecule 1 ingredient of ISO E Super, which is cedarwood and sandalwood, and you've got another ingredient to kind of, make the fragrance a little different in comparison to for all woods. Here we've got the kind of a smoky dark tea note with the woodiness of the ISO E Super. So basically it's just black tea and ISO E Super. So you've got a lot of that ISO E Super because it smells very cedary, but you know what? Sometimes I get a little bit of sandalwood from it as well, especially on skin. It becomes a bit creamy, smooth, almost like Javanol is added a little bit to the ISO E Super, but you've got a lot of black tea here, which is so smooth and awesome. So it's a simplistic fragrance. It's minimalistic, but it's not super minimal where it smells just like ISO E Super, which is what Molecule 1 is. They have the variety to offer you one with tea, one with Gaiac, one with ginger, mandarin, patchouli, or iris. And again, I love this fragrance. You can actually take this and use it to layer any tea fragrance that needs some boosting, If you have a tea fragrance that you're complaining about the longevity, I think this will work great. Layer this down, let it dry, and spritz on the tea fragrance on top. As long as it doesn't clash, I think it'll, help you with a little bit of extended longevity, I think. But on its own, it's minimalistic, it's simplistic, super cozy, woody. Molecule 1 plus black tea from Escentric Molecules. Let me know if you're familiar with that. And then finally in the tea category, we've got Oolong tea from One Day. This was also a fragrance we featured in Scent Club. This is in 23 is when we featured this one. It was like number 5, kit number 5. But what I like about this tea, it's so different than everything else. This is a bit daring. It's quite smoky and I almost feel like there's cigarette ash or cigarette tobacco in here. But I think it's just the tea acting very, very super smoky. Like it's oolong tea. I went through an oolong tea phase, by the way, in the mid to later part. No, I think it's mid 2010s. I was having a lot of oolong tea for a while. It wasn't this smoky though. This is super smoky and lots of jasmine in this as well. And I've had plenty of jasmine tea as well. Whenever I go to a Chinese restaurant, they would serve it. It's quite delicious. For a while, I kind of fell out of love with jasmine tea. I really enjoyed all of a sudden because it's so fragrant, you know, it's got this beautiful perfume that you can actually drink. Here you got a lot of that jasmine, a very smoky tea, not as cozy as other tea fragrances, because that smokiness might be maybe not so cozy, but in the end it's quite nice. Let me know if you're a fan of One Day's Oolong tea. It's from the Tea Exclusive collection. Hopefully you were able to get a Scent Club kit with that fragrance, but it's been like 2.5 years almost. So that's it. Tea is one of those quiet power notes, never too loud, always super classy. That's what I think about tea fragrances, and that's why I enjoy them in the fall season. Now, do you have a favorite tea fragrance that you enjoy wearing during the fall season? Let me know, add a comment below. And also let me know if you have tested or have enjoyed the fragrances I discussed today. If you haven't and are curious, do also let me know as well. Now stick around to the next video. We're getting things very, very spicy. I'm talking about cinnamon in the next video.